Jake never thought washing dishes would change his life. He had taken the job at a small diner in town to help pay for college. It wasn't glamorous, the pay was low, the hours long, and the steam from the sink often fogged his glasses. But he didn't complain. His grandfather, Mr. Miller, always said, "Work is work. It doesn't matter what kind, as long as you give it your best." Jake lived with his grandpa ever since his parents passed away when he was a teenager. Mr. Miller was old-fashioned but kind, a man who believed in earning everything you had. He'd often come to the diner to pick Jake up after his shift, sitting quietly in the corner booth with a cup of black coffee, waiting patiently while his grandson finished cleaning up. One rainy evening, the diner was nearly empty. The dinner rush had passed, and only a few late-night customers lingered. Jake stood behind the sink, scrubbing pans, when he noticed a man sitting alone by the window. He was older, maybe in his late 60s, dressed neatly in a dark coat and fedora. He had ordered only coffee but had been sitting there for over an hour, quietly observing the place. As Jake cleaned, he could hear faint snippets of the man's conversation with the waitress, Linda. He had a calm, deep voice, polite but sharp. Something about his presence felt familiar. After a while, the man stood up, finished his coffee, and walked to the counter. Jake was still washing dishes when Linda called out, "Jake! Come here a second. This gentleman wants to speak with you." Jake wiped his hands on a towel and walked over, confused. "Yes, sir." The man smiled slightly. "You're the one working back there all evening?" "Yes, sir," Jake said, unsure where this was going. The man nodded, looking him up and down with quiet curiosity. "You work hard. I could tell from over there. Most kids your age wouldn't last an hour doing what you're doing." Jake chuckled softly. "It's not too bad once you get used to it." The man smiled faintly. "What's your name, son?" "Jake Miller," he replied. The man froze for just a second. "Miller," he repeated slowly. "Any relation to Robert Miller?" Jake's eyebrows rose. "That's my grandpa. You know him." The man's expression shifted, part surprise, part something else Jake couldn't read. "You could say that," he said quietly. Then he took out his wallet, pulled a $100 bill from it, and placed it under his empty cup. "For the coffee, and for your effort tonight." Jake's eyes widened. "Sir, that's way too much. I can't." "Keep it," the man said firmly, his tone gentle but final. "Consider it an investment." He gave Jake a small nod, then turned and walked out into the rain. Linda stared after him. "Well, that was something. You must have made quite the impression." Jake just stood there, still holding the towel, wondering what had just happened. When his shift ended, his grandpa came to pick him up as usual. They walked to the car together, and Jake told him about the mysterious customer. He asked for my name, left a huge tip, and walked out. Said it was an investment. "He knew you, Grandpa." "His name was Mr. Carter." Mr. Miller stopped walking for a moment, his face pale. "Carter?" Jake nodded. "Yeah. Do you know him?" His grandfather took a slow breath. "Jake, that man was my business partner, years ago. Before you were born." Jake frowned. "Business partner? I thought you worked in construction your whole life." "I did, after things fell apart," his grandpa said quietly. "Carter and I started a company together back in the 70s. We built homes, made good money for a while. But I made a mistake, trusted the wrong people, lost everything. I couldn't afford lawyers or the mess it caused. Carter helped me get back on my feet, but when I couldn't repay him, I cut contact out of shame." Jake listened silently, surprised. "So, he knew who I was?" "I think he did," his grandpa said softly. "And if he left you that much money, maybe it's his way of saying he never held it against me." They sat in the car for a moment, rain tapping softly on the windshield. Finally, Mr. Miller smiled faintly. "You see, Jake, hard work has a way of bringing good things back around, sometimes from places you least expect." A few weeks later, Jake received a letter at the diner addressed to him. Inside was a note in neat handwriting. "Jake, I wasn't joking when I said it was an investment. I spoke with a friend at my foundation. You've got a scholarship waiting, full ride. Keep working hard." The world needs more Millers like you. Charles Carter. Jake read the note twice, his hands shaking. That night, when he told his grandpa, the old man sat quietly for a long moment, eyes glistening. "Guess the past doesn't always stay buried," he said softly. Jake smiled. "No, Grandpa. Sometimes it comes back, just to make things right." And for the first time in years, Mr. Miller allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, life had come full circle in the best possible way.